So we finally got the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom gameplay today, and it just looks fantastic. I mean, there are so many questions I have for this game. And not only that, but that Nintendo Switch leak about the Nintendo Switch OLED was real. It was 100% real, and we got a new OLED for Tears of the Kingdom, which I definitely really want to get. But I am getting ahead of myself. In this video, we are going to talk about the latest gameplay for the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom that we got this morning, just like 30 minutes ago. We also do have some news on some new merchandise that you're going to be able to buy that has to do with the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, not just the Nintendo Switch OLED and those Joy-Cons, so stick around. And if you guys do enjoy this video and are excited for the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, make sure you guys leave a like on the video and tell me what you most liked about this gameplay. Honestly, the most thing that I loved about this gameplay is just how deep the customization for your weapons is going to be able to go, because it just looks amazing. So first up, guys, let's start with the most obvious thing that I really want to talk about, and that is, of course, the new weapon system. So from this gameplay, they said that you can combine different objects around the world and different items you get from enemies, different items you get from chopping down trees, or even just boulders and things around the world, and combine them with your weapons. Now, depending on what you combine with your weapons, you're going to have different effects. Like they showed a frozen arrow that usually you would have to pick up from enemies, but now you can just combine things and make those arrows instead of having to scour for them from different enemies. Or getting them from chests too. You can get them from chests in Breath of the Wild too, but essentially you're going to be able to make your own arrows, and I'm wondering, just like the homing arrow, I wonder what other things you're going to be able to make, not just this new arrow right here. And not only that, but there are other effects that you really have to think about, like food. What happens when you add food onto an arrow? Is going to act as a lure, and you can lure all the enemies in one spot and then explode them all with an exploding arrow? Like, what's going to happen? And another question for this, can you combine multiple items, not just one with one weapon? Like, say, can you combine a frozen arrow with a leaf and create a gust of frozen wind? Because if you can, the options for your gameplay are going to be amazing. There are going to be so many different builds that you can do. There are going to be stealth builds. There are going to be, overpower builds with a whole bunch of destructibility. There are so many options with this system, and it gets me really excited because I am a creative person and I like trying different things, and I like trying to find the most broken thing that you can in every single game. I love breaking games, and the fact that you can do this in this game, combine weapons with things that you find from enemies, trees, and so on, makes a lot of possibilities for the Tears of the Kingdom combat. The interesting thing about this is I'm wondering about the gear as well. Does this extend to the gear? Can you combine different effects with different gear and make new gear sets? Now, another thing, speaking of gear, did you notice that the bow that Link has is a lot different than, say, the bow in Breath of the Wild that you come across, because you come across different bows during that game. There's just one bow that he uses, so I'm wondering, where did that come from? How did he get it? And how does it play into the gameplay other than just combining things? Because I'm wondering, if we're not going to be able to get new bows, are we gonna have to just have this bow for the whole game? Now, another thing that I noticed in the trailer is that he started off with 4 hearts, so the placement of this gameplay is a little bit further into the game. I think it's still in the beginning of the game though, but I think it's not all the way at the start, so that's another interesting thing. But I think the most interesting thing, well, kinda, I do like the weapon stuff, but the building stuff is really cool. That's where a lot of things transform this gameplay. Like I said it in my video, that if you're able to build things, I am 100% gonna be making these giant contraptions that look like Mario heads or Link heads or giant Triforces. Like imagine a flying giant Triforce that you can fly throughout the game. That would be amazing. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about the shield too, because you can add things on your shield as well. Now they did a smoke screen when you fuse it with the shield, which also makes me wonder if the shield is going to be concurrent too as well, and we're going to be combining things with it instead of getting new gear. I think this is going to be a vastly different gear system compared to, say, Breath of the Wild. Or maybe certain shields and certain weapons won't break or something. I don't know. I have a lot of questions for this. But this does open up the possibilities for not only your sword, but also your shield as well, because you can add, say, a bomb on the front, and when an enemy attacks it, it explodes. Now, whether or not that knocks you back or not is going to be very interesting. But that's another cool thing that they did. It's not just the sword, it's also the shield as well. Now, they also showed off a new ability that lets you combine things with this green goop, and you can make a whole bunch of different things. You can combine logs and a fan to create a giant airship, or you can put it in the water and create a boat. The cool thing about this is a lot of people had this idea in Breath of the Wild 1. Some people would try to make these airships with different glitches and stuff, and cars and boats and all that kind of crazy stuff that we saw in Breath of the Wild 1, and now now the devs took that idea and made it an actual mechanic, which is really cool in my opinion. And just like the weapon systems, I have a lot of questions for this as well. So specifically for that fan, are there other parts like that that you can activate that also do different effects? Like, is it not just movement? Can we find different weapons that we can attach to a boat and have like a gunship? Can we have a flying giant airship that can shoot things down in the sky? Because there are sky enemies in this game as well. How long does this last? Does it last for a little bit, or does it last for a long time, or is it permanent? Like, there are so many questions. I keep saying that in this video, but that's one thing that they did with this trailer, and I think this was a fantastic gameplay showcase because it didn't spoil anything, or not in my opinion, but it also just made you ask more questions. I said this in another video, but the more they show about this, the more questions I have. Like, right now, I don't even think they have to show any more gameplay. They don't even have to do that Zelda Direct that I think they were gonna do, even if they did show gameplay here. I don't think they have to do that. I think this was enough to carry them until the release. Now, aside from that, they did also show another ability where you can essentially go through walls. So one thing that I found interesting about Breath of the Wild is a lot of people would try to speedrun it and they would try to clip through walls. And they even took that idea of not just Breath of the Wild, but other games as well, clipping through walls, and they made that into a mechanic, which is kind of crazy and really makes me wonder, like, what are the speedruns of this game gonna look like? They're gonna look absolutely insane. It is going to be an interesting thing to watch. But yeah, if you notice, they also have new icons for each ability too in the top right corner. And one thing that I find really interesting is one is a sword. And if you guys remember, there was a patent for a broken sword that Nintendo did for Tears of the Kingdom. And it makes me wonder if there's an ability that they haven't shown yet, and that's what that patent was for. So potentially there could be so much more to this gameplay that we don't even know about, even if all the things that we saw can open up the Breath of the Wild gameplay even more in Tears of the Kingdom. Now, one question I do have for the time ability, because they did show some time abilities, they showed the reverse time. Can you do the opposite? Can you fast forward time? Can you increase the speed of objects? So like, if you use the time ability on, say, your airship, will the airship go faster? And if you notice, there was a battery on the bottom when he was making the airship, so I'm guessing that's like a battery for the fan. So maybe if you use the time ability that fast forwards the fan, maybe it'll go faster. And of course, if you use a fast forward ability on something that has a battery, the battery is going to drain even further, even faster. So more than likely, that would be a good way to balance it so it's not too powerful and people aren't zooming across the sky at lightning fast speeds unlimited. Now, hopping over to Twitter, Stealth40k on Twitter makes a very good point about this. He says, Aonuma didn't cover story characters, side quest dungeons, or anything like that, but if one thing has made it clear from the gameplay demonstration is that Tears of the Kingdom is going to be an enormous adventure, and I think that's the important thing here. Not only did they show some great gameplay, but they didn't spoil a lot of things, and things that I wouldn't even consider spoilers, they haven't shown yet, like the dungeons, story characters, and so on. So it makes me wonder if we are going to get more gameplay from this game. Now, from this, I don't think we need it, in my personal opinion. I don't think we need another gameplay trailer. Now, one thing that I do find curious on this is that it's only 10 minutes. Well, 13 minutes plus the trailer for the Oled and him talking on screen, but it was only 10 minutes, so I wonder if they split a 30-minute direct into 10-minute segments, and we're going to be getting more and more as we get closer to that release date. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get more gameplay from this game. Personally, I don't think we need it. I think, honestly, that was enough. I think surprise with the story, character, side quests, and dungeons are a good thing. I don't know. I think I'm kind of satisfied with what we saw so far. I want to be surprised by this. Like, I'm doing this with the Final Fantasy game too. We got some gameplay on that at PAX East, and I'm not even watching too much of it. I saw some clips here and there, but I want to go in blind. So I think, I don't know, because it is my job to, you know, react to this kind of stuff, but I kind of want to go in blind into this game. Now, one thing that I do want to bring up is different kind of things that you can buy other than the Nintendo Switch OLED, which, by the way, that is launching on the, let's see, what does it say here? Oh, wow, that's actually quite soon. So it's launching on April 28th, which is actually, oh, wow. Okay, so that was pretty much exactly what I guessed. Yeah. That's pretty much exactly what I guessed. The good old Nintendo momentum comes in again. If you guys remember, I was talking about the Nintendo momentum and how Nintendo does the same thing that they did in the past, and this is very, very similar to what they did with Splatoon 3. They announced it, and then about a month later, they released it. And it was about 1 to 2 months before the release date of this game. This is why I always say you can look at Nintendo's past to predict their future. And 9 times out of 10, It's pretty correct. Now, I was about, I think, half a month off of my original prediction, but I mean, that's pretty close for someone who's just going off pure speculation and what Nintendo has done in the past and not any insiders or no one sending me inside information or anything. I'm just going off of pure speculation. But anyways, yeah, the release date for the Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo Switch OLED is gonna be on April 28th. Now, about the other things that appeared, because I just noticed this on my timeline right now, we do have a new Pro controller, and it actually looks a lot like the Super Smash Bros. Controller. It actually kind of looks really similar, but it's going to be a Tears of the Kingdom Pro controller, and that's going to be available on, oh wow, so that's 2 months. Yeah, it's going to be available in 2 months, actually. So it's going to be released when the game comes out. We have a Pro controller here, and we have a carrying case, and honestly, speaking a little bit on the design of the Nintendo Switch OLED, I think it's okay. I do kind of like it. It's kind of growing on me, especially the dock. I think the dock looks fantastic. I think if they were to swap out the colors on the actual Joy-Cons though for white and gold, I think that would look a lot better. Or even white and green and making the dock green as well, and maybe putting like a little shine on the green. I think that would have been a lot better. But yeah, that's all for today, guys. I got 2 videos to put in today, so I'm not gonna do any crazy editing in this video. I'm just gonna get a solid video that you guys can just sit there, listen to, and watch it, and hopefully leave a like and comment on what you liked about in the comment section below so we can speculate and talk about all of the craziness that we got. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video tomorrow. Have a good one.